What's up, everybody? Big Swede coming at you once again from Swede Studios. Welcome back to part 2 of the Harley Benton project. If you remember, in part 1, we kind of talked about the plan. We looked at the guitar from head to toe and, kind of discussed some of the shortcomings and what we were going to do to remedy some of those issues and turn it into a solid guitar. So here in part 2, we're going to be totally disassembling this guitar, stripping it down to just the body and the neck. Everything's coming out of it. Then we're going to fix a couple things with the guitar itself, and then install some new high-quality components that are hopefully going to transform this thing into a really solid guitar. I am still waiting on a couple of things, so there will be a part 3 of this where we're going to install the electronics and then, give it a good playthrough and see overall how much of an improvement we've made with this guitar by putting some good high quality components into it and giving the guitar itself a little bit of TLC. But without further ado, let's get into stripping this thing down and reinstalling those new components. All of our noise issues are stemming from this ground wire underneath the bridge here. See, the problem is they coated this bridge with non-conductive paint. So if you take your multimeter here, even if you check just on the bridge itself, at no point anywhere on this bridge do you get continuity between the two. So obviously, when you put the bridge on and make contact with the ground wire, you're not getting anything. No matter where you check, nothing. All right, now what some people will say is the fix for this grounding issue is on the bottom side, on the base plate of the bridge, you sand down the spot where it meets the ground wire. So you sand that down to bare metal, and then when you put the bridge back on, it makes contact with the ground wire, and you're good to go. Well, not really. It may help a little bit to some extent, but it's not going to completely go away because this whole bridge, everything on it, the saddles, everything is covered with that same non-conductive black paint. So just connecting the ground wire to the base plate is not allowing that signal to go anywhere else but the base plate. So in order to get to the strings, it's got to get into the saddles, which are covered with black paint. And then it's got to get into the strings, and the grooves in the saddles that the string touches are covered with that black paint. So you would have to sand down the bottom, where the ground wire is. You'd have to sand down any connection between the saddles and the base plate. And then you would need to sand down the grooves in the saddles where the strings sit in order for that ground connection to make it to the strings. That's a lot of sanding on a nice looking black part that's now going to have a bunch of bare metal on it. That doesn't look very cool. In my opinion, the best thing you can do with this bridge is get rid of it and get a better bridge. You'll thank me later. We got this Schaller 3D6 bridge. Now this is a black chrome, and even if we check just on the bridge itself, you can see we're getting continuity. So stands to reason when we put this bridge on, we're going to get continuity to the ground wire. And that is going to solve our noise issues. All right, so we're going to be changing the tuners now. We're going with these ratio tuners from Graphtec. Now, the thing I love about these ratios, obviously they're locking tuners, so it's going to help with tuning stability. But normal tuners, they're all geared exactly the same. So depending on which string you're tuning, you have to turn that machine head different amount of times to affect the same change in pitch. So let's say you're in drop D and you want to go down to drop C. You're going to have to turn each one of those machine heads a different amount of times to affect that same pitch change on the different strings. Now, what the ratio tuners have done is they gear them differently depending on the size of the string. So basically what ends up happening is one turn on any of the machine heads is going to equal one tone of difference. So makes your tuning a lot quicker because everything is predictable. All right, here's where we stand right now. We've got all of our hardware installed. Got the cavity shielded. We got the bridge grounded properly now. We took care of those rough fret edges, smoothed those out really nice. Really the only thing we're waiting on now is the new pick guard that I'm having made so I can get the electronics installed, and then also we're replacing the nut. I don't have that nut yet. Hopefully I should have that stuff within the next week or so, and we'll get part 3 done. So stay tuned for that. But until then, we'll catch you next time.